While 8 of India's superstars compete over in Australia in the Women's Big Bash League, hundreds more will turn out for their domestic sides in the Women's Senior One-Day competition that's due to begin on Thursday, October 28th. So how many teams are involved in this competition? Who are the teams to beat? What's the structure like? I'll answer all these questions on this Tournament Explainer. So the 2021-22 Senior Women's One-Day competition will see 37 teams compete. These teams have been divided into 6 groups, which consists of 5 elite groups and 1 plate group. Each elite group consists of 6 teams, so that's 30 teams that are part of the elite groups, and the remaining 7 are part of the plate group. There are 6 cities that are going to be involved in this tournament. Each group will be hosted in one city in a bio bubble, and the cities involved are Kolkata, Dehradun, Pune, Bengaluru, Visakhapatnam, and Nagpur. Like I mentioned earlier, matches will kick off on Thursday, October the 28th, but those will be played by the plate group. The elite groups will come into action a couple of days later on October 31st. The league stages end on November 6th, and then the knockouts will begin in Bengaluru on November 13th, with the final on November 20th. Let's look at the groups now, and we'll start with the plate group since they're kicking off the action. It feels right to do that. They will be hosted in Kolkata, and the plate group consists of Nagaland, Meghalaya, Jammu Kashmir, Bihar, Manipur, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. It would be hard for me to pick a favorite from this group, but I guess considering their experience, having played domestic cricket for many years, Jammu Kashmir probably have the edge. But that's not to discount the talent amongst the other teams. The teams from the Northeast have shown a lot of passion, a lot of very fast improvement, and they're definitely going to go a long way in the years to come. On to the elite groups, and Elite Group A are going to be based in Dehradun. And Elite Group A consists of Jharkhand, Tripura, Assam, Maharashtra, Kerala, and Delhi. So remember, Delhi are one of only 3 teams who have won a domestic one-day championship. It was back in 2011-12 that season, and so they, I suppose, just based on that, they are one of the bigger names in this pool. But you cannot discount the likes of Jharkhand, who made their way into their maiden final last year. They were the surprise package of the 2020-21 season, so they will come into the season with a lot of confidence and be hoping to do one better than they did last year. But of course, there is Maharashtra. They will be bolstered by the return of Devika Vaidya and Tejal Hasabnis, who couldn't take part in last year's competition, but they are back now and will definitely boost Maharashtra's chances this season. On to Elite Group B, which is based in Pune, and for me, this group has, I suppose, the tournament favorites, Indian Railways headline Elite Group B, but they will be challenged by the likes of Odisha, Uttarakhand, Chandigarh, Mumbai, and Tamil Nadu. So aside from Railways and all the India players and their firepower, I think Tamil Nadu and Mumbai will probably give them a run for their money. Remember, Tamil Nadu this year will be bolstered by the return of MD Trishkamani, who in fact turned out for Railways last year and has turned out for them over the last 5 or 6 years. So she's returned to her home state, and I'm sure she'll come out with a lot of fire when she plays her former team. Of course, there is Chandigarh. Last year they were again a surprise package. They were the reason Maharashtra couldn't qualify for the knockouts, led by Amanjot Kaur. They chased down a target over 200 and knocked out Maharashtra in the group stages itself. So there will be plenty to look forward to in this group, and if you are in Pune, I suggest you should go and watch these games. On to Elite Group C, and for me this group is probably the group of death because all the teams are just so evenly matched. The group is based in Bengaluru, and it consists of Hyderabad, Bengal, Andhra, Rajasthan, Punjab, and Himachal Pradesh. Of course, when you look at the group, I think Bengal are probably the favorites. They edge their way to the top. They have been the most consistent team over the last 5 or 6 years. They won a championship recently as well, led by Jhulan Goswami, knocked out Railways in that semi-final to finally take the trophy. But they will, I think, be challenged by the likes of Andhra, who again have been one of the more improved teams in recent times. They have a lot of very young talent in their group. R. Kalpana has returned to the setup. They will be led by Sneha Deepthi, who was until September 2019 the youngest Indian player to play an international for India. She was, of course, ousted by, that record was taken over by Shafali Verma when she made her international debut. But until then, it was held by Sneha Deepti, the youngest player to play T20I for India. She is now back. She's a mother now. She's back and she will lead Andhra in this season. In the group, of course, there's also Punjab. So that will be an interesting one for me. Tanya Bhatia amongst that Punjab group. She was out of favor in that ODI setup. She has been dropped from the T20I setup. So she will, I'm sure, be raring to go, be looking to make a mark, get some big runs on the board. Himachal Pradesh also have someone in Harleen Deol who will want to put her name up for selection in that ODI side. So lots of people in this group that have gotten me excited. And again, like I said, the group of death, I think one of the groups that have a lot of evenly matched teams. Moving on to Elite Group D, they will be based in Vishakhapatnam. The group consists of Gujarat, Haryana, Goa, Madhya Pradesh, Vidarbha and Mizoram. Another tightly contested group, I'd guess, with the likes of Gujarat, Haryana, Goa and Vidarbha probably pushing for that top spot. Of course, there's Madhya Pradesh as well, with Varsha Chaudhary back in the mix. And Pooja Vastrakar, who seems to have found her own in international cricket. I'm sure she'll be a handful in domestic cricket as well. Goa, plenty of talent there. They're usually the underdogs in this situation, but when you give them that status, they seem to find another gear. So Goa, led by Shikha Pandey, they have the experience of Sunanda Yetrekar, Sanjula Nayak, very talented young batter. There's Purvaja as well. So they've got the ingredients to make a good team. With Goa, it's always how they turn up on the day. Of course, with Gujarat, a very, very young group, and they have some high quality spinners, some very promising batters as well. But amongst all this, a team that usually kind of flies under the radar for me, Vidarbha, I think are probably the favorites in this group. You look at that batting lineup, they've got Bharti Fulmali, they've got Disha Kasat in the bowling, they have Nupur Kohale, the left-arm spinner who's been very consistent over the last couple of years. There's Komal Zanzad as well. She seems to enjoy domestic cricket, rips through top orders for fun. So Vidarbha, even though they're not the big name team, they're probably the favorites to finish at the top of this group for me. And finally, on to Elite Group E, based in Nagpur. There's Chhattisgarh, Saurashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Baroda, Karnataka and Pondicherry. So just on paper, I guess Karnataka are probably the big name team, Veda Krishnamurthy at the helm. They also have the two recent India internationals, Pratyusha and Monica Patel. They've also got Shubha Satish, who had a very good season last year. Divya Ji has been consistent for them over the last few years. There's Rakshita Krishnappa, Akanksha Kohli. Good solid side, you'd think. So on paper, Karnataka favorites in this group, but Baroda, I think, will probably challenge them heavily. Remember, they have Yastika Bhatia, the left-hander who kind of made a splash in international cricket on this tour of Australia. She had a wonderful, wonderful series, made her ODI debut, Test debut, and T20I debut as well. Was preferred over Jemima Rodriguez in all those formats. And she's really come into her own as a batter. She will have the likes of Taranum Pathan, Janita Fernandez, Jaya Mohite, the off-spinner as well. So a good young group in Baroda will definitely challenge Karnataka for that top spot. And then, of course, there's Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh is the land of spinners. They seem to produce left-arm spinners in their sleep, probably like Australia, continue to produce fast bowlers. Let's look now at how teams can qualify for the knockout stages that, like I said, remember, will be held from November 13th in Bengaluru. So the top two teams from each of the elite groups will proceed to the knockouts. So remember, again, there are 5 elite groups, which means 10 teams from the elite groups will proceed into the knockouts, and they'll be joined by the team that tops the plate group. So a total of 11 teams proceed to the knockout stages. Let's wind back the clock a little and look at a bit of the history of this tournament. Like I said earlier, Railways have dominated the competition ever since its inception, or ever since the board took over women's cricket and the senior women's one-day competition began in 2006-2007. Railways have won 12 of 15 seasons so far. So They first started with a streak of 5 titles, and that run was broken by Hyderabad in 2011, that season. But Hyderabad beat Railways, reached the final, but then lost to Delhi, that was led by Anjum Chopra at the time. So Delhi won a title in between. Then Railways came back, won 6 more championships before in 2018-19 they were defeated by Bengal in the semi-final, and then Bengal went on to beat Andhra to lift their first title. So Railways had 5 championships, then was Delhi, then 6 championships, then was Bengal, then there was a season that we had to abandon due to COVID. Then last season Railways came back and won their 12th title. So will they go on to have a streak of maybe 7 wins, or will another team beat them this year? So that's it from me on this tournament explainer. I hope I've answered most of the questions you may have had. And if not, reply in the comments below and we'll try and get to them at some point. But before that, mark the dates on your calendars. Remember, October 28th, that's Thursday, the tournament kicks off. And keep an eye out for all the updates on this tournament and all the tournaments around the world. We'll keep you informed right here on Women's Cricket Zone.